Welcome to the Lovecars on the Grid podcast, your global motorsport roundup with me, Tiffany Dell, and Paul Woodman.
Welcome to episode 20 of Lovecars on the Grid, your global motorsport roundup, where an absolutely ram-packed weekend of motorsport, including the man Tiff Nadell, but some really sad, some news that really hit home to a lot of people this weekend as well, that we're going to kick off with, which is an incredibly sad death of a marshal at Brands Hatch. And Tiff, I mean, you speak incredibly highly of the Orange Army all over the world. It's such a sad thing to...
we can't go race without them. They're incredibly brave. They trust each other. They look over their shoulders to each other, and that they're kept behind barriers more than they were in the past. But on this occasion, it was a post that I don't know whether there's any protection or not. But this car got out of control, still really on the straight, and hit the barriers on the approach to Paddock Hill Bend, and there were two marshals in a post that got hit. And we can't go racing without them. I mean, it's their hobby, and it shouldn't be dangerous for them. But they know it is. There's an element of danger being a marshal, but they're an amazing bunch. It's their love and passion. They're a huge family, the Orange Army, and just loss of one marshal, the whole family of the whole of Britain. Probably overseas as well. We would have heard. Would have been really saddened that this has happened. It can occasionally happen. We're never fully safe, whether we're drivers or marshals, and it's something sad we have to accept might happen, but really, feel it shouldn't be happening. But just occasionally it does, and our thoughts just go out to the family, and all our sympathies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've read some lovely tributes on the man as well. I won't mention his name because if you want to see that, you'll probably see it online. But the marshals, for me, when I first started racing, which was only fairly recently, I always thought, what a grumpy bunch. But they're there for the reason, but they are. But because you got people like you and I, well, not you, but people like me that sort of jump out on track and think, oh, yeah, this is okay. Yeah. But they're there for a reason, for our safety. So we owe a huge amount to them. And I got to say that one of the best things about racing is when you finish a race, and if you don't know this, but when you finish a race, whether it's a Grand Prix race or a little Caterham race, all the marshals afterwards are waving their flags and waving and saying well done or whatever. So, and whatever mood you've been in, however bad your race is, it just, you go around and you just feel amazing. You beat the horn and wave, and I probably wave a little bit too much, but yes, a big respect. And like you say, our sympathies go out to his family.
And also, really, message to all drivers, that we don't back off enough with yellow flags. I got a warning, I got a reprimand for not backing off enough just this year at Brands. And, we all tend to sort of think, we're safe and we're going at the right speed under yellow flags. But, the reason why there's so many pace cars now is because drivers aren't slowing down enough when they see yellow flags. And obviously this wasn't that situation. It wasn't under a yellow flag situation, but they are out there, pushing cars out of the way when we're driving past what we think are very reduced speeds, but, it still can be too fast in certain situations. So, yeah, great respect for them, and obviously a very sad occasion.
And one final thing on that, you just touched on it, that it's a lot of their hobbies, but most of the weekend racing is volunteer. So these people don't get paid during the week if it's a corporate event or something. That's different. But these are unpaid people as well. So very important. I'm going to do a day's marshalling at Castle Combe. Not by choice, I hasten to add. It's because I got 3 points on my license for missing a black and white flag, but that's another thing. So to be able to get those points off my license, I'm going to do a day's marshalling, which I'm looking forward to, and even more so now, I have to say. But let's move on to a bit of carnage, but flipping action-packed Grand Prix in Hungary, and starting off with what was a disaster first corner, but a dream, I guess, for Mercedes-Benz, Mercedes-AMG, with Bottas taking out two Red Bulls in the first corner. My goodness.
Pinball effect. They can't hit Max directly. I tweeted this. Someone thought I was serious. I said this is obviously they planned to use another car to hit Max with in a pinball attack, but we all love it. This is what we look forward to, is these surprise results. It's usually odd weather that causes it, or something weird happening. We've had a few of these unexpected winners. We had Gasly at Monza a couple of years back in AlphaTauri. Then we had Perez in Azerbaijan, when Max's puncture happened, then Lewis hit the wrong button on his steering wheel. So we had a couple of surprise winners, and this was yet another one of young Ocon, who's very highly rated, but he only qualified 8th. We're not really thinking here that this is going to be the winner of the race. But so many things helped him win that race, and beginning with the Bottas doing the pinball wizard. Then Lance Stroll from way back on the grid deciding not to take out Ocon, but to overtake Ocon on the grass and then nail Leclerc. So that got rid of the Ferraris, so we got rid of the Red Bulls, the Ferraris. And through all the chaos, Ocon from 8th on the grid, emerged second behind Lewis. And Perez was off and everything else.
One of the big contributing factors that was actually Alonso. Alonso did him a massive favour holding him up so much. What do you think?
Yeah, that was the next thing. Yeah.
For those of you who didn't see it, Alonso was quite aggressive in defending his line. Now, what's your view on that, Tiff?
He was brilliant. He was absolutely spot on. He always gave Lewis an inch to play with, and no more than an inch. But before we got there, of course, we had this weird thing where George Russell tried to lead the Grand Prix. I don't know what he thought he was doing, because I looked, because I was watching after the event because I'd been at Silverstone all day. But all of a sudden, he came out of the pit lane ahead of the pack. We all thought he was about to lead a Grand Prix.
So he actually, for those of you that didn't see it again, he undertook everybody lining up on the pit lane, ready to go. And it was the most bizarre restart because Lewis Hamilton was the only person on the grid waiting for the lights to go out, and which is probably a very bad choice. But George Russell, as he carry on, he undertook everybody that was queuing patiently and led the Grand Prix.
Oh, he did. But the other weird thing is, why didn't Lewis stop? I cannot believe. I mean, Ocon admitted afterwards he was worried that he was doing the wrong thing, But even so, you would have thought Lewis, and quite what the FIA would have done. I bet there's no rule book saying if everybody pits when they're supposed to be going to the grid. I don't know what they would have done.
Well,
more FIA chaos. They would have gone to the rule book to try and get them. When would the race have restarted as the cars all left the pit lane? I don't know. But
we just got a tweet from David, one of our regulars on Twitter. One of the guys just said this and said, "What would have happened if Lewis had got out of his car on the grid and walked away? Could they have let anyone out of the pits, or would the result have had to have been called there and then, i.e., Lewis winning?" But it's all, I don't know. That's all a bit confusing. But it was a bizarre race, lots of action all the way through. And like you said, the weather definitely contributed to that. And a surprise winner, you would have got good odds on Ocon. And you would have got great odds as it happened because of Sebastian Vettel's penalty, or Aston Martin's penalty, I should say. The fact that you had a Spanish driver 3rd and 4th, which is pretty unheard of with Sainz and Alonso.
But it was so. Lewis's comeback, from the last to 3rd, apart from Alonso's amazing defence, Alonso probably won it for Ocon as much as Stroll did and Bottas did earlier on in the race, knocking everybody out of the way. But without Alonso's incredibly beautifully driven defence, just gave Lewis an inch everywhere, Lewis, come on, man. He's not giving me room, man. And it was a fabulous defence by a brilliant driver and who helped his young teammate win the race. Gasly came up through the field quite well as well. Sainz came back up through quite well. So some good drives all round. And of course, Williams got their 2 points finishes. George was in tears when he tried to speak to the press, about it, even though a bit annoyed probably that Latifi was ahead of him. But of course, Latifi got through that opening corner better than George did. So it's amazing stuff. Williams getting 2 point scoring finishes. Lewis then exhausted. Thinks he's got long COVID. I think Lewis must be exhausted. Flipping out, he's had 2 massive high pressure races. Silverstone coming back, catching Leclerc, driving 10 tenths the whole way. Then again, ran one of the toughest circuits physically. I'm not surprised he feels like he's got long COVID to come through. Fabulous results, all round. And,
I'll tell you a fabulous result. A fabulous result from that Grand Prix. Max Verstappen, or Red Bull, pit stop, 1.88 seconds. Unflipping believable. But not that it meant anything. I guess when the pressure's off, it's good. So Oliver is here, as you know. You just had a chat before we went live, and he's worried that our 32 viewers. So my son is in the room. He's worried that our 32 viewers might see him
Oi, Oliver, come on in. Don't you get sarky with us, love. We're over 500 now. We're kicking on.
He's getting all shy. He's getting all shy. So an amazing Grand Prix. And do you want to comment on the Aston Martin fuel? It's a rule. I mean, it seems harsh when Bottas gets a 5-place grid penalty for taking out all those drivers, and then poor old Seb gets penalised and
a lot
loses his second
a lot of people
place.
On Twitter are moaning about it. Chris Harris is saying, it's a bit stupid. The trouble is, a lot of people mucked around with petrol. It's one of the easiest ways to cheat is to have illegal fuel to give you more power. Then on top of that, the race engineers love to have the cars light as possible. And quite often you'll see a driver fuel saving simply because the engineers chose not to fill up the tanks to the maximum capability to have as little weight as possible at the start. So they play with this fuel like mad. But the point is, because the fuel regulations, it's a bit like drug testings in the Olympics. You have to sample for the A and a sample B and a sample for the team and a sample for the FIA. So in order to test the fuel correctly, they probably need at least 1 litre, so you can divide it up into everyone's portions to do all the post-race tests. So it's been a very strict rule for an awful long time. I know when it happens, it looks very bad for the sport. But it is one rule that everybody knows about. It's very strict. It means exclusion. So, if the team went a bit short on fuel, that is really their own fault for judging it wrongly.
And you know what? Seb's been there, done that, got the T-shirt. Of course, there's a bit of sympathy there for him. But if it was someone like a George Russell or a Norris or somebody that's never been on that step of the podium, you would feel really bad. But Seb, you know what? You've won enough anyway. So it wasn't just the main event, the Grand Prix. It was also Formula 3 and W Series that was supporting in Hungary. And they're both pretty spectacular, actually. There was lots going on. Formula 3.
The sprint races, the sprint races I don't take into account because they're all the stupid reverse grids, but I'm sure Japan's Ayuama Iwasawa was very, very pleased with his sprint win, as was Italian Matteo Nannini, the nephew of Alessandro Nannini, Grand Prix driver. But the real race that really counted, where they qualified, they started where they qualified, meritorious, meritocracy. This Norwegian, Dennis Hauger, he just looks like he is the business. He's already almost got double the points of anyone else.
Norway.
He's been so good this year.
Norway.
Oh gosh,
that's a bad joke. Let's move on. Yes, he's doing well, isn't he?
A best bet, Ollie Coulbourne, our best Brit. He only had an 8th place finish in the final, but he's had a solid season. He's actually 3rd in the points, way off the top, but he's had a good solid year. Not spectacular. That is Hauger, the man. W Series, of course. The Brits were out there again. We've dominated really the W Series since it began. It was just Jamie Chadwick. It's now Jamie Chadwick and Alice Powell who finished in that order in the Hungaroring. And they're well out in the front of the championship. It looks like a 2-way fight for the title. In Hungary, not so good. The rest of our other 3 Brits didn't fare so well. Jess Hawkins had a 10th, Abby Eaton 13th, and Sarah Moore 15th. But certainly W Series will fly in the flag. Ollie's just gone past. Ollie's gone by again.
Vicky Period didn't do so well. She had a bit of a tough weekend this weekend, I think. So poor old Vicky on that one. And it's nice to see Abby Eaton on lockdown as well, the Grand Tour lockdown. Did you see that? Have you watched that? You haven't had time, have you? Because we'll come on to that in a moment. You've been off racing yourself, but it's nice to see Abby doing some fast laps at Knock Hill, I think it was, on lockdown, which was quite good. Also in Europe, we had the Spa 24-hour, which did you like that? Did you enjoy that?
It's a fabulous, absolutely, GT racing. The last 5, 6, 7, 8 now Spa 24 hours have been the most epic 24-hour races. The weather is always rain and horrible and fog and mist. And of course, there was this horrendous crash early on, which Jack Aitken, the Brit, Jack Aitken was one of 4 drivers, huge crash at Radion, the top of the hill after Eau Rouge. And it was, there was a burning engine on top of the tyre wall on the exit of Radion that come out the back of the Lamborghini. It was that violent, the impact. Unfortunately, a couple went to hospital, and there's no really serious injuries as far as I know. You can't be sure. So the old Eau Rouge Radio, I don't know what's going to happen there. There's always these big shunts, that awful fatality in Formula 2. But obviously, I'd hate them to put a chicane at the bottom of the hill. I think most
what's the
drivers
answer
would.
to? What is the answer? Just race, just keep it going.
Well, this crash was caused by a rebound from the left, and maybe if you took a bit more of the banking back on the left as they go up the hill when the cars go off, it might stop that rebound into the track. But as long as you do that and then really police track limits, that's why we can't keep on, putting these huge tarmac car parks out, which make it safer, if we then allow drivers to use it to their advantage. So, I don't want to take that bank back, but I'd rather do that than have them put a horrible chicane at the bottom of the hill.
And of course,
but anyway, the racing went on.
The speed is so incredible, isn't it? Coming up over Erosion and it's fast old speeds.
But it was an amazing race of ups and downs. And the last 15 minutes, it rained again, which gave an opportunity for the Ferrari that was second to catch the leading Audi. And with about 10 minutes to go of a 24-hour race, he went round the outside of the Audi through Blanchimont, the really fast corner, pouring rain, pulled out. What was he led by? About it's about 9 seconds at the end of the race to win by. So it was just a fabulous battle. It went right to the finish. Good British result. Ross Gunn was part of the team in an Aston Martin, finished third overall. So a good result for Ross there. The other best Brit, Nick Tandy, was fifth in a Porsche. Now, there's a bit of a story to the Nick Tandy Porsche team. Warning to you kids out there, these flipping scooters. It all looks very cool driving in the paddock. They were up at Silverstone where I was. They're all going around posing on the little electric scooters. But the Belgian, Laurent Vantour, who was part of Tandy's team, he had a tangle with a quad bike in the paddock, going posing around on his scooter. Ended up in hospital, had to miss the rest of the race. They were one man down. These kids are as fit as possible. They can walk, can't they, from the race truck back to the garages. And it's a growing trend I've noticed in motorsport paddocks. Everyone posing around on their little electric scooters. I don't think it's posing.
I think some of the paddocks are so big. I think they just it just saves a bit of time, Tiff. It's not about posing.
Lazy. I've walked up and down all my life. They can walk up. They're fitter than I've ever been. So, get them back. But a great Spa weekend, as always. Always controversy, always a bit dangerous.
And I have to say that as a viewer of motorsport and as a I appreciate motorsport. When there's rain and when there's uncertainty and when you don't know what's going on, it's brilliant. But when the shoe's on the other foot and you're driving and you don't know whether it's going to rain and whether it's going to be sunny, it is horrid. It's so awful, especially when you gamble on your setup and we're talking tiny, insignificant motorsport. These guys, for world championships, it's I like a bit of uncertainty as well.
That's a great race to go to. People that are just addicted to go to Le Mans 24-hour race, go to Spa as well for a visit in the next few years. It's an amazing event to go
as well,
to.
Isn't it? Nürburgring, Spa, Le Mans. It's not just Le Mans. Le Mans got the big following, of course, but they're all brilliant party atmospheres.
Yeah.
I'm too old for that. BTCC, UK BTCC was back.
Talking of crashing. Alton Park. Oh my goodness. I don't know how many red flags they had. What a weekend of shut. There were minis bouncing off barriers, barrel rolling down the middle of the track, race stoppages, Ginetta Juniors crashing into other. Touring cars were smashing into each other, having restarts. And it does actually bring up this whole question of, the amount of accidents that are going on. Because the Formula 4s, the single-seater boys, was about the only race, I think. I didn't watch all three, but I'm sure it was the only race without a red flag or a big crash. Because with the open wheels, there is this element of danger. And I think more and more, it's horrible to say that the sport is getting too safe. And so we just bully each other with cars. And they're just banging into each other's doors. They complete overtaking manoeuvres with two wheels on the grass. I mean, it looks spectacular. It's brilliant to watch. But, a lot of crashing is going on because I think we just disrespect each other because, you don't think you're going to get hurt. And so you'll just bully the car sideways. So there's this fine balance between allowing door-banging racing that the spectators love and these big, big shunts. And the Mini that hit the barrier. It was the classic case of when you rejoin and you're half a length ahead, and so you want to bully back onto the track. You've been off the road on the runoff, so you come back in, and the bloke who's on the track says, "Well, you're not coming in. You've been off." And it's this: you get turned around the front of the car, because the guy won't move, you move, and round the front you go. It was out of Cascades, and he hit the middle of a barrier of Armco. And it acted like a springboard. I've never seen anything like it because it hit it side on. Then it threw this Mini up into the air. If you haven't seen it, you would go on, I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. Then he rolled through the middle of the pack, sending everybody else scattering. And it was a frightening crash. A couple more Alton Park Cascades, both in touring cars and the Minis, and Porsches. The Porsches were hitting each other. You get nerfed wide going down towards Cascades. You end up on the grass. You then go down the grass and hit someone who's totally innocent going around the corner. Jade Edwards got caught in one of those shunts. I think we've got to calm down a bit as drivers, respect each other a bit more. But quite how we do that,
it's not going to happen in BTCC. Of all the sports, of all the disciplines, I hate to say, it's not going to happen. They do. It's almost synonymous with it, really, isn't it? Brilliant drivers, wheel to wheel, so hard to overtake, and you do see it every single race where they're using their car to barge through almost.
Anyway, congratulations through all the mayhem. Dan Rowbottom won the first race for Honda. He's really coming on strong, Dan, now as a sort of works driver with the Honda team. Rory Butcher, always good, the Scots boy that won his first win for Toyota. And Senna Proctor was on pole position before it all began, had won the reverse grid race in his Honda. So congratulations to all of them. And thanks for the entertainment. I love watching it all, but whoa, not sure I want to be in it.
What about two wheels? Are you Superbikes?
It was a great weekend for British fans. They're a fabulous choice. You also part for the whole BTCC package. Thruxton had the Superbikes. Silverstone, we'll talk a minute. We had the classic for the classic cars. The Superbikes around Thruxton, huge crowd. Always, it's just awesome around that circuit. The bikes cranked
so
over,
fast,
bucking and weaving. I'm the Aussie Jason O'Halloran won all three again. He's really dominated the series on his Yamaha this year. But yeah, just fabulous racing, all very close. I would just want to point out Danny Kent. He got a third place in the last race. He was our Moto3 champion in 2015.
Wow.
And he was our first world MotoGP champion since Barry Sheene. You know, we haven't had many champions.
76 was that? No, later. When was Barry Sheene? Late 70s, early 80s, I know.
Yes, late 70s.
Long time.
But, you know, Danny's had a hard life. He went to Moto2, it didn't work. He's had a lot of problems both on and off track. He got a suspended jail sentence. You know, life's been pretty horrible. I don't know any of the details, so I'm not, championing him because I don't know him at all. But he had a third place in the last race, and for a kid that was a world champion to have had so many problems in life to come through and get a podium again. I think as a motorbike racer, I think we should go. Congratulations.
Just the mental resilience. I think. I don't know him. So the mental resilience. No. Yeah, congratulations on that.
He's had a lot of trouble, so it's good to see him on a podium.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Silverstone Classic, where
five races.
And I was doing the TV presentation.
Hang on a minute. Hang on. Let me just cast your mind back. Last time you did 5 races, you got 5 podiums. You're going to tell me you've gone one better. You got 5 podiums, 5 first places, 5 top steps. Is that right?
No, didn't go so well. Didn't go so well. More competitive fields, one has to quickly say. And the weather was awful. They have the rock and roll concert. He's going back again. They have huge campsites. Every type of car has got his club sitting there. E-types and also every type of car you can think of. It's got a little group parked up there enjoying themselves, Mercedes and BMWs. But it was awful weather, and it just kept on dropping it down. I spent racing trying to find. I'll try another wet line or a dry line. There's so many different corners at Silverstone. Trying to find some traction somewhere, floundering around. Did win our class in the McLaren M1B, the Can-Am car. I did have a very good 5th overall, chasing young Brundle home in the Lister Nobby. The race went into the dark, and it was so dark at 9 p.m.
Wow.
And the headlights, none of the marshals have got any illuminated flags. And there was one moment about 5 laps ago, I was going down the club straight, and there was this gorgeous red sunset straight ahead. In my Lister Nobly open top sports car. And it was a pretty epic moment. I really did enjoy it, and had a good result in that.
Magical. So for those of you that don't know, in the UK, it's our summer, believe it or not, but you would never believe it. It's cold, it's wet, it's unpredictable, as you'll find out soon on when I raced at Silverstone. That video goes live this week, but good moments. You had a little bit of a tussle with Darren Burke, I saw on his, social media somewhere. Darren Burke was in an E-Type Jag. Apparently he won.
He was?
Yeah. He had red flags and all sorts, and I only know Darren because of the Caterham racing. He's a bit of a Caterham expert in terms of coaching a few of the top boys.
Anyway, that's all on ITV4, I think. Or ITV,
yeah, you did. So you did the ITV stuff with Nicky Shields.
Yeah, it was jumping out of the racing car into the smartening my hair up again. Hello, Nikki. Yes, and welcome to the Silverstone Classic. So we've got 2 1-hour shows coming up next weekend on ITV4. So hopefully you'll enjoy seeing those for the Silverstone Classic.
Brilliant. We'll put some tweets out for that as well.
Cold and wet most of the weekend. Dyson with Martin Brundle. Dyson, I don't know who I was in the E-Type Jaguar, Lister Nobly, the Ford Capri, the McLaren M1B, and the TVR.
Who else was there, Tiff? So Martin Brundle. Anyone else that you sort of any old hacks?
I don't know. I was too busy running. Damon Hill did some demonstration runs in his Rothmans Williams, which was magnificent to hear that engine go around Silverstone again. So Damon was there. Yeah, it's just a brilliant weekend, that Silverstone Classic. It really is.
Brilliant. Next week, there's quite a bit going on next week, but we've got a 3-week gap for Grand Prix. But we got MotoGP, Syrian MotoGP, World Superbikes. Where's that? Czech Republic.
Morik. What's the track called? Anyway, called that. Yeah, the motorbikes are doing what the Formula One cars do because they lost a couple of rounds due to COVID. So they've now got the Syrian Grand Prix this weekend and the Austrian Grand Prix next week on the same track. You know, the Salzburg Ring, Österreich Ring. Hope we don't get that same accident they had on turn 3 with that bikes flying through the pack. Yeah, and the Superbikes we said. So yeah, that's all the real international racing in Europe.
We got in Europe, yeah, we got IndyCar and NASCAR next week as well.
over the pond. IndyCar, a brand new street circuit, Nashville, which should be fabulous to watch. I mean, they're amazing round street courses in America, you know, because they've got these good, open wide roads and 90-degree corners. I'm sure that'll be spectacular stuff for the IndyCar boys. And NASCAR as well. They're back on the road course, back at Watkins Glen. And again, that's always a very spectacular race. Watkins Glen's a real old-fashioned track with the barriers right by the circuit. They're up the curbs and off the curbs. And so, yeah, 2 good American races on Sunday night.
So if you could only watch one of those races, IndyCar or NASCAR, what would you recommend people to watch for action?
Oh, the IndyCar. It's IndyCars. It's a really good single-seater series.
Okay.
And then back in Britain, we've got hardly anything after so much last weekend. It's funny.
Excuse me. Whoa. Excuse me. We got.
Of course. No, sorry. No, yes, there is. And I'd almost forgotten. There's the British GT Championship.
No, excuse me. We have got something pretty special coming up next Saturday. Something very epically special. We have got round 5 of the Caterham Academy at Brands Hatch, where, of course, this Paul Marshall just passed away. But so Brands Hatch, and you're going to be there. You're going to come and cheer me on, and I am not. So we're going to release a video this week from Silverstone, explaining a few things and what happened.
If I see you waving,
I'm not going to wave.
If I see you trying to get a slipstream in qualifying, if I see you doing anything apart from getting your head down and getting on with it, I'm walking. I'm
not waving. You can punch me in the face. I am not waving. I'm not ever. My hand's going to be on the wheel, other than that's it. But
right.
Can't wait for that. And
all right.
Look forward to having a pint as well on Friday night, but we'll talk about that off air maybe. But thanks for joining as always. And
cheers, Rod. Keep watching. We're global.
Oliver, come and say goodbye. Come he's who else got children? Oliver. Leave a comment below. Bye. Tiff said goodbye. He says bye. Bye.
Cheers.